It's that time again. Good morning. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something a little bit different. As you know, I am a business lawyer. I focus my law practice on business related items. I do a lot of estate planning work, do some tax work, and generally represent businesses and do a lot of things related to those companies. But in connection with that, I also do sometimes a few other things because I represent not only the business, but the business owners and the business owners and their families. And sometimes that takes me into some different type of areas. Now, I'm not going to be representing the owner's son who was arrested for X, Y, and Z or involved in a divorce. I may be working with the attorney that's handling those matters, but in general, I won't be doing any work in that area. However, you may find me working in some other areas, including the one I wanted to talk to you about today, civil asset forfeiture. A civil asset forfeiture is an interesting concept. It's basically the idea is that you've got a criminal and they have a car or guns or some money used in their drug operation or whatever that criminal activity is, and the law enforcement is seizing that property and taking it away from them. And that's, in a perfect world, that sounds wonderful. That sounds great because why should the criminal profit, right? So it kind of makes sense, except in the criminal arena, a criminal is charged with a crime and the government has the burden of proving their case, proving the guilt. You all know this, beyond a reasonable doubt. Unfortunately, in a civil asset forfeiture case, there is no such burden. In fact, you don't even have to have the person convicted of a crime. No conviction is required. In fact, you don't even have to have a person charged with a crime. Not in Alabama. Speaking of Alabama, the National Institute for Justice rates Alabama as a D- in this area for civil asset forfeiture, saying that our laws are so bad, they don't protect the innocent owner. Let me talk to you about that for just a minute. The innocent owner. You don't even have to be the person allegedly involved in the crime. Recently helped a lady who had a car and she was letting someone stay at her house. And in exchange for this favor, this person offered to change the oil in her car. And she said, fine. So they took her car to the store so they could get the quarts of oil that they needed. They were pulled over and the police found that the driver had drugs on them. And so not only did they arrest the driver, but they seized this lady's car. This lady who had no knowledge whatsoever that there were drugs in the car, that there were drugs on that person, and in fact wasn't even in the car. They had taken the car without her to the store. We had to show that the lady was innocent and that the car wasn't involved in any way with the criminal activity. The government only has to show that it's related to the criminal activity by preponderance of the evidence. Now, preponderance is kind of a fancy word, and it just means more likely than not. If you filed a lawsuit against someone, a civil lawsuit against someone, you would have the burden of proving your case by a preponderance of the evidence. More likely that your case was correct, the facts that you alleged were correct than the defendant. That's what preponderance means, and that's all that's required in a civil asset forfeiture case. As I said, no criminal conviction is required. Not even the underlying criminal conviction is required. They could dismiss the case against the person that had drugs on them, and our lady still would have lost her, potentially could have lost her car. It's a terrible, terrible kind of situation in situations like that. The burden's a little bit different for real estate, but they can come in and seize houses or other property as well. Now, why do they do it, and why are they so aggressive? Well, they have a really strong incentive. Law enforcement keeps 100% of the proceeds of the assets that they seize. 100%. So it's Christmas Day when they get an opportunity to take something like that. And again, I don't have a problem with them taking it away from the criminal involved in the criminal activity. It's this idea of the innocent owner. Now, there have been movements for years trying to get Alabama's laws better. There have been lobbying efforts and proposed legislation. Last year, there was some legislation that indicated some small movement where they had to start disclosing how much property they were seizing, but still nowhere near what it needs to be. I've been involved in a couple of different lawsuits trying to help people recover their assets when they are the innocent owners. I'm not representing the criminal defendants, but representing the innocent owners of property, not charged with any crime, not only not convicted of a crime, not even charged with a crime. And in some cases, or the ones that I'm handling, not even charged with any knowledge of a crime taking place, and they're still taking their property. Hopefully you'll never be involved in a situation like that. But if you are involved in a situation like that, please seek the assistance of an attorney that deals with this area. Feel free to call me, and I'll talk to you next time. See you.